Hola, Taboo Breakers. Bienvenidos a Taboo Talk Latina Edition. Yo soy Cynthia.
And I'm Jeanette. And here at Taboo Talks, we keep it real, raw, and rooted in our culture. This is a space where we shed the silence, speak on the truth or abuelas we're told to hide, and celebrate the stories that make us powerful mujeres.
From breaking generational cycles to reclaiming our voices and rewriting our narratives, we hold space for the healing, joy, and the truth that so many of us have been told to keep quiet.
Today's guest is one of those women who is shifting the conversation and showing us what it means to stand fully in your truth, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's taboo breaking, and even when people don't want to hear it.
We're honored to welcome Lindsay, a powerhouse Latina entrepreneur, activist, and mama of three who is on a mission to normalize breastfeeding without shame. She's the founder of the Little Milk Bar, a bold brand and movement helping mothers reclaim their power and visibility in public spaces, one bold movement at a time.
From viral breastfeeding campaigns to speaking out against outdated expectations, Lindsay is a voice for moms who are tired of staying quiet. She's raw, she's real, and she's raising babies in awareness with heart and purpose.
Lindsay, welcome to Taboo Talk Latina Edition. We are so excited for you to finally be here with us.
Hi, thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you for your yes. This truly has been something we can check off our list. We've been wanting you on, so your yes means a lot to us as well. So thank you. Thank you for that. And before we dive in, we'll love to hold space for you to share a little bit about your story. For those who may not know what led you to create the Little Milk Bar, take us back. Who is Lindsay White behind the brand?
Sure. So I am Lindsay White. I live in Salt Lake, Utah. I have 3 kids. They're all spaced 5 years apart, 13, 8, and 3. And I was I was new to breastfeeding when I had my daughter, Allie. She's our oldest. My mom didn't really breastfeed, and I wasn't really around breastfeeding people ever. Like, I don't remember seeing a mom breastfeed. So when I had her, I didn't realize like how much I didn't know. It was like the hardest thing I ever did, and I didn't know that. I thought you have a baby and it's natural to breastfeed, so it comes naturally, but it doesn't always come naturally. It may be natural, but it doesn't come naturally. It's something you learn between you and your baby. So to make a super long story short, I'll dive in really quick. So when I had my first daughter, it was hard, and I found myself fighting in closed doored rooms that were, dark, not with other people. If I was out at a barbecue, I would leave and go feed in a room, or if I was in public, I would go feed in a dirty bathroom, and I would always be in tears, feeling alone, postpartum baby blues, but also just like it was hard, man. So then when I had my second baby, I made a promise to myself that I would have more confidence with that breastfeeding journey, and I would just go on with my regular life and feed wherever I needed to without feeling constantly alone and going into private. So I was feeding him at a wedding, one of my friends' wedding. My mom came over to me and she said, "Do you really think you should be doing that here? Maybe you should go to the bathroom and do that."
Wow.
Yeah. And honestly, for the longest time, I told this story. I never said it was my mom because I didn't want people to come at her. My mom is a good person. She's my biggest supporter now, but took a while to get there. And thankfully, I had more confidence and I just told her, "No, thank you. I'm comfortable where I'm at." And I kept feeding and then enjoyed myself at the wedding. But on my drive home, I turned to my husband and I said, "I want to start a brand that empowers and educates moms, parents in general on breastfeeding, letting them know their rights, and just being that best friends that gives them permission to feed at the table." So I started the Little Milk Bar with a t-shirt, Milk Maker t-shirt, Cynthia, that you're wearing. I love that's the first release we did. And it sold out, and we've just been growing since. We started with merch, and then now we're doing essential products like nursing bras and tank tops and that kind of thing.
Wow, wow.
Wow.
Thank you for being vulnerable about that because I feel that so many of us, all of us need to hear that. And it's just so crazy because, like you said, your mom is your biggest supporter and they never mean anything with any harsh, right? Like they don't mean to hurt our feelings, but it's what we're used to because from the Hispanic background, even when we give birth at the hospital, when even the nurse walks in to help us and learn breastfeed, they put something over us to kind of protect us sometimes, right? So that's already something that we feel that we can outdate. Like it's something that we need to continue to do. So thank you for being vulnerable of that for so many women that might feel alone or that especially their loved ones are telling them they shouldn't, that they can own it like you did. That's
A lot of
powerful.
the times it is our loved ones or our
Yeah.
moms or our mother-in-laws. And that it is a hard barrier to break, especially when you are the first in your family. It was for me. Even though I knew I was doing the right thing, there's times where like you second guess yourself. Like, am I actually doing something wrong? Like she keeps telling me to cover up or that I should go feed somewhere else. And then you kind of, it's hard to plow that. And our first photo shoot that I did for the Little Milk Bar was terrifying for me, honestly. And I don't know if I've actually ever shared this story publicly, but I realized I needed to make a splash, especially at the time on social media. You weren't allowed to post breastfeeding content. It was flagged as sexual content. I mean, side note, it still does sometimes get flagged, but it was against their policies. And so I was like, no, we need to like make this super normal. So in my first photo shoot, I decided I was going to go completely topless and I was going to hold my son and walk down the middle of the street down from my house and hold him and feed him. I did, and it was terrifying. Like the photos may look powerful and people may be like, wow, she owns this brand, so she feels so confident, but it was one of the most terrifying things I'd ever done. But I knew I needed it to be visually representation of like normalizing the breastfeeding community. And so my mom came with me on that shoot, and I remember being terrified to show her those photos. Like she is gonna just not like this at all. And I remember showing her and she didn't. I mean, she didn't say much. She didn't say anything mean, but you could tell she was kind of like, what
Yeah,
is
nah.
this? Our whole family is gonna see this.
Yeah.
Um, it took time and eventually she came forward and like even just a few years ago she came to me and she said, I'm so thankful for you educating me and bringing awareness and normalizing this for me. And now she's the biggest supporter and she loves it.
Wow, I love that. And that generation is such a different generation. Like you said, they weren't used to seeing that, right? Like that breastfeeding, they weren't seeing that, so they weren't able to teach us. And for you to stand up at that wedding and tell your mom, like, no, I'm fine. I'm gonna stay right here, like breastfeeding him in front of everyone. That was so brave of you. And your whole brand, like, thank you so much because when I had my son, he's currently 4, your brand was my saving grace because my mother-in-law, I remember I would breastfeed and pump because I was working. And when I would pump, again, I love my mother-in-law. She would take my milk that I just, pumped and she would put it up on the light and she would be like, oh, this is only 2 ounces. Is this enough? I don't think this is going to be enough for him. Like, let's switch to formula. Like, I don't know why you keep like trying to like breastfeed. Like, you're only pumping 2 to 3 ounces every time you pump. And I remember feeling so discouraged, embarrassed, and I felt like my body wasn't enough. Like I wasn't worthy of feeding my son. I remember at that moment. And I don't know how I found your brand. I'm pretty sure just scrolling through Instagram in the middle of the night. And I found your brand and I was like, oh my God, I love what she's doing. Like, this is like amazing. And that kind of gave me the power to be like, no, I'm going to keep breastfeeding and pumping, even if it's 2 ounces, 3 ounces, I'm just going to keep doing it. And again, nothing against my mother-in-law. Like I love her, but she didn't know better, right? Yeah.
No, and that's definitely a thing. I mean, I have women come to me all the time and be like, I'm not producing enough because I pump and I only get 2 ounces. And I will tell you, I have had 3 children. 2 of them I worked outside of the home 3 months after they were born. So I had a pump for them to survive. And I've never been able to pump more than 2 or 3 ounces combined with both boobs together. So like your body just produces what your baby needs. And I know it can look scary, especially when you see online like the huge freezer stashes that are just,
Yes.
and it's like I love the term feed the baby, not the freezer. And it's just, it does get you intimidated, especially with online right now, because you can see, oh man, this woman just posted or that she had like 4 ounces of breast milk. And some people do, and that's amazing. And some people only produce what your baby needs, and that's okay too. I know that feeling for sure. Because I remember thinking, I even called a lactation consultant to my house once because the first time I pumped, I only got 2 ounces. And I was like, I don't think she's getting enough. And I freaked out. And she weighed her before I fed her and after. And she was like, no, she's getting plenty. You're doing great. And I was like, oh,
Like, you sure?
What we don't know, right? It's so crazy. Yeah. I was telling Cynthia, I'm like, I wish I would have known about your brand when I had my babies, but also I gave up on breastfeeding because of those around me and me not understanding what you ladies are talking about. Now I'm like, wow, it makes sense. Then they kept saying, no, you're not producing enough. And my family, just give them formula. The hospital, just give formula, right? After you leave, they give you formula. So I got so used to being comfortable and saying, well, okay, I guess I'm not meant to breastfeed that I didn't learn and I gave him formula, right? So those are things that I'm so glad you exist and that you empower women to do this because I wish I had that when I had my babies.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And you created a brand that centers breastfeeding in a world that often tries to hide it. Why was it important for you to make that a mission? And what was that moment that made you say, this is what I'm meant to do?
Well, there's two moments, I think. One of them was a moment with my mom, and because I remember just thinking she was telling me that, and I'm like, wow, like she really thought in her mind that it was okay to ask her daughter to go feed in a bathroom, her grandbabies in a bathroom eating their meal. And I was like, I think I just need to bring awareness to this. Like, I think if people just really thought of it for what it was, they would recognize that that's just silly and a complete mind, like different way of thinking and backwards. So it was that. And then also there was a time where me and my husband went to the Cheesecake Factory after I had my daughter. And it was like the first time out of the house after we had the baby, and she was getting hungry. Like I didn't plan this. Like I didn't even think about what I do when we're out of the home and she needs to eat. So we went and sat down in our booth and Allie starts crying. And I remember looking at my husband and I was like, she's hungry. Like, can I feed her here? Like, even just
Wow.
the
Yeah.
needing permission of like, can I? Like, will they kick me out? Like, what happens? What do I do? And he's like, I don't know. Like, he's doesn't know either, you know, and he's a great supportive husband, but he also didn't know. This was our first time. And so I was just like, I mean, I'm starving. I don't want to go eat in the bathroom, like feed my baby while you're out here eating. I want to eat my meal too. So I just like pulled my cover out that I got from my baby shower because everyone gets you one.
Yeah.
And I fed at the table, but I just remember thinking too, like, I just want to give women permission to feed at the table. They don't need it, but some women feel like they do.
Yeah.
Oof.
They just need that one friend that says, you don't have to feed in the bathroom. You can feed right here. And so, like, the moment that I thought of that, I knew, like, this is what I need to do. And then I guess there's a third moment when I started the brand and I started posting on Instagram. Almost every one of our posts would get taken down for sexual content. And I think that's what really made
That's
me go into
crazy.
overdrive. Like it wasn't like inappropriate. I mean, inappropriate wouldn't have even been the right word too, but that they labeled it as sexual content really just got my blood boiling. And I'm like, this needs to change like that. And I thought at first, like maybe it's just a bot that like saw it first and they're flagging it. But when I appeal it, of course, like a human eyes will see that and see it's not sexual content. So we appealed it, but then they still turned it down 3 more times after that. And so I got really mad and I did a petition online and we had like 20,000 signatures in a couple of weeks. We got the attention of Instagram. I did this campaign where we did cat hats over us. Like we had a cat mascot.
Yes, I remember that.
We were like, is it okay now? Like, is this going to get taken down? But like
Mm.
when animals feed their babies, we're like, oh, that's so cute. Like when a kitty
Wow.
cat's feeding their baby. So we like kind of turned ourselves into cats and we're like, are you going to delete this? And we did like a shadow ban, like block launch. But we did get the attention of Meta. My friend Katie from Empowered Birth Project, she was actually working on getting policy changes with Meta for birth content. And while she was in the middle of that, her and I did a collab and I reached out to her and told her like, hey, we're having the same problem with breastfeeding content. So then we then had a seat at the table and helped Meta change their policies. And now they now allow it.
Wow. Good
My
for
gosh.
you. Thank you. What
Yes,
a
that's
badass.
beautiful. I love how you didn't let that turn you down because normally people are
No.
like, okay, you know what? I'm done. Like, okay, you said no. Oh no, I'm going. I'm running.
It made my heart hurt. Like for so many parents out there to think like I will say I'm a pretty confident person. I know not everybody is that way. So it made me sad to think of like one of my friends who had just had a baby, if she had seen that and it had flagged her for sexual content, it would have just ruined her. It
Yeah.
would have made her feel like she did something bad. It would have made her feel like that was inappropriate, and it's not. And so I just thought, I'm willing to like dive into this full force. I think I was the chosen one. Like I felt like I had the grit to be able to do it, and it was hard. Like, honestly, at the beginning, I don't care how much confidence you have, the comments that you get. I think it is a little bit normalized now since Meta now allows it on their social handles. But back then, when they didn't, the comments were very hard to read sometimes. There were times where I even thought I should delete something. I didn't, but it's tough, So, but I was like, I can take that. I'd rather take it for everyone else. I can do it.
Wow, I
Wow,
love
such
that.
an inspiring story. Especially that we know that public breastfeeding comes with a lot of backlash, right? I feel like you mentioned, just we're always questioning. And even I didn't have the opportunity to breastfeed, but so many questions went to my mind and my friends around me too. Like they will have to step away and they will come back and eat their cold food. I wish they would have been able to have and face with criticism in the way that you've had. But my question to you will be, how do you handle the criticism? Like, I know you're so confident and you can see that glow, right? But it's been hard, like the times that you wanted to delete the post. How do you stop from not deleting the post and moving forward?
I just remember what my own intentions are. And there's a phrase that I thought about a few years ago that has anytime I've been in a crossroads of like, should I delete this or if I'm in a park and I'm like, maybe I should just go to my car and feed, it'll be easier. I just remind myself, does this stranger's opinion matter more than my baby's basic needs?
Oh,
And that
like that.
answer will always be no.
Yes,
I love that.
I love that. Wow, yes. And for Latina moms, there's often this added layer of judgment, right? They're always they're always judging, especially in public spaces. Have you seen that show up in your community, and how does the little milk bar help mom feel safe and seen?
Yeah, so it definitely does. I mean, especially in our culture, I think in our culture here in the US, it very much is even more so. Even when they think they're not being judgmental, they're definitely showing like, the little things they say
Oh
or
my
Yeah.
maybe use
God.
a blanket like, here, mija, you could cover yourself. And it's like,
Yeah.
I'm good, good, abuela, like I'm good. But I think the more consistent, like another phrase I like to use is the more you see of something, the more normal it becomes. So it did take a long time for my family to get there, but eventually they did. And I think just knowing that they're just not educated yet, they're just haven't seen it enough yet. They haven't had anyone question them yet or let them know actually this is okay.
Yeah.
And the moment that I kind of realized that I was actually going to be their educator, I was going to be the one showing them something they haven't seen yet, it made me feel a little bit better. Like it's just like a child who doesn't know how to walk yet. They don't know how to walk until you show them. So me being that person for them kind of gave me that little bit of confidence to be able to be that person in my family. I don't remember the second part of your question.
It's okay.
That was perfect, actually. I was like,
Yeah,
was there a second question? That
yeah, I
was
was like, that was perfect. I think it was just like, how does the little milk bar, help moms feel safe and seen? But I think, you kind of answered it. Yeah.
Well,
yeah, absolutely.
I mean, our social media account in general does that. I think, again, the more normal or the more you see of something, the more normal it is. So we made it a mission to always show breastfeeding content. There's times where we're like doing a photo shoot with a mom and we're like, okay, we need a feeding shot. So then she pulls down the alley bra and she latches the baby. And we're like, should we cut that part out and only show the baby? Obviously, we would like make sure we're okay with the mom being on our social media with that kind of content. But we're like, no, we shouldn't not show that. And like, really on our website, I know this might sound weird now, but back when we started, a lot of breastfeeding brands didn't ever show their models actually breastfeeding with the product. So they would be wearing a nursing bra on their website and holding a baby. But like they didn't actually show it unsnapped. They didn't show a baby latched on one side so you can see how it looks while you're using it. And so when we started our website, it was very intentional to use real moms, not a mom that had a fake, like a lot of the companies too will hire models and put on a fake bump underneath their shirts.
Yeah.
And it's like that doesn't represent a body that might have other parts that are growing. So
Yeah.
we've made it our mission to visually show that on our website as well.
No, you're doing a great job. I'm telling you, you've sold me in the idea because it's the vision. And I'm like, man, I don't have kids. I don't want anymore. But it's like, it's so right. I'm like, it's because you can relate, you know,
Yeah.
and I feel like, especially now with social media, we've become in this trend of like, if you're doing it, I'm going to do it. But then if you judge it, then I don't want to be judged. Right. So we're constantly feeling like we're criticizing or we're comparing ourselves. So what you're doing is huge. And I applaud you for that. Like you deserve the recognition for everything you're doing. And I know that we've spoken about the visibility, right? It's so powerful. What will you say to someone who's scared to breastfeed in public or speak up in a space that isn't welcoming?
So I have like a few tips. If you're wanting, first of all, I think everyone should feed however it makes them feel most comfortable. If you are feeling more safe in a private area, then feed in a private area. If you're feeling more safe in your car, then feed in your car. But if you're wanting to feel more comfortable, you can practice at home. So what I did, and I would sit in front of a mirror and I would hold my baby in a way that I could unlatch. My baby was covering my nipple so it wouldn't show to the world. And then I would latch the baby. And then you realize how much people can't see. Unless they're standing behind you and breathing down your neck and looking in this angle, they can't see your boobs. They're not going to see your nipples. They're not going to see all of that. But I think practicing in front of a mirror makes you realize that's all people, because you're seeing what someone else would see when you're feeding.
Wow. I
And so
love
you
that.
start to get a little more comfortable in the sense of like, oh, okay, I can latch them and this is fine. I think it's the latching part that gets moms more worried because you're a little bit scared that you're going to be completely exposed for a few seconds until the baby gets on.
Yeah.
Practicing, I would also practice when friends and family come over, that you feel safe with. You know, if you've never done it before and your best friend's coming over to meet the baby for the first time, practice feeding your baby on the couch while you're continuing to talk to her instead of going in your room and feeling like you have to go feed. Because I did that with my first, and I'd say, oh, she's hungry, I'll be right back. And I'd leave, 20 minutes to go feed and come back. But do it with people that you feel safe with first. And then always remind yourself in a moment that you might feel a little bit nervous. If you see someone at the park stand up or Target and they're walking towards you, realize most of the time they don't care. They don't even notice what you're doing. They're just going to walk past you, but you immediately think that they're going to come tell you off and you
Yeah.
get like nervous and your palms get sweaty and
Yeah.
and
Crazy.
then you're like times out of 10, they just need to get past you to go do something else. And you're like, oh, that's a relief. But remember that no stranger's opinion ever comes before your baby's basic needs. And that kind of always helps me have a little bit more confidence. If you need to respond to somebody, I always just say, no, thank you. We're comfortable where we're at. It's always one because that's not confrontational, but it just lets them know, like, oh, yeah, maybe like I didn't even think about their comfort. Or if you're not comfortable, you're more than welcome to leave the room, is it one that I always use too. So, yeah.
I love
I love
those.
them. Thank you
Yeah.
for sharing.
Yeah. And I know for me, I remember that was like my biggest fear, just unzipping my bra and like pulling up my shirt. I would always think, oh my God, people are all gonna look at my boobs.
Yeah.
And like you said, I bet you no one was paying attention, but it's like we get in our own minds. That's like, oh, man,
Do.
like why do we do that? Why are we like that?
We feel immediately that everyone, like, we're not that important. And
I
in
know.
our mind, we think we are. We think everyone's watching us and like everyone's staring at us right now. They weren't 5 seconds ago, but now that the baby needs to eat, they're totally staring at
That's
me.
so true.
But yeah, 9 times out of 10, nobody's paying attention to you. You're not a main character in their lives, so they don't care.
That is
Yeah.
so true. It's because now you're doing something that you're thinking about and you're like, are they? Now it's like you feel all the eyes are on you. Same thing, like I remember my cousin breastfeeding, and when she did it, she was a little bit more about visibility, right? Um, the men in the family, like out of, they'll notice and then they look away, but like they'll keep their conversation. But then I'm there staring at all the other men to see what uncle, what family members looking. And she was just breastfeeding. And it's crazy because we do that, right? I'm like, I don't want my tío, I don't want my husband's friend to see me, right? But they're not like, and if they glimpse that way, they'll just respectfully look away.
Yes. And if they don't, there's a bigger problem there.
Right.
So
There
Yeah.
we go.
like,
That's a different sign there.
Then you can call them out respectfully.
But I love that. Super helpful.
Yeah. Now let's talk about generational cycles. So many of us were raised by women who didn't talk openly about motherhood, at least not the hard part. So what inspired you to show the real, raw, and exhausted and unfiltered truth?
that is such a good question because I don't know if I have an answer for you. I don't know. The women in my family weren't very outspoken. So honestly, don't know where I got it from. And this might sound so stupid, but I remember
No.
as a kid watching Selena, the movie, and like I remember her just being like exuberant and outspoken. And like I remember she wore the bustier like in front of her dad, and her dad's like, no, and she did it anyways. And I just remember seeing that and thinking like she just was so confident. I know it was just a movie. I mean, Selena in real life was too, but I just remember seeing that and thinking I wanted to be like that in some capacity, like stand up for myself.
And
You
I
are.
love that.
I
Yeah,
hope
you
you know
are.
you are.
I actually love her. She's my idol. Like I wish I would have had the opportunity to meet her, but it's so true. And that's you breaking the cycle, right? That's you doing what we're not used to doing, but being the inspiration for other women and other people to step in. They're called to do something. And it doesn't matter if it's not in your roots or in your background. Like it was placed in your heart for a reason. And I'm glad that you heard to your calling
Yeah.
because what you're doing is so powerful. So that's beautiful. And now, how has motherhood shaped your identity, not just as a woman, but as a entrepreneur?
So that's a great question too, because I actually grew up never wanting to get married and I never wanted children. So it took a real left turn for me. I met my husband at a very young age. I was 18 and I immediately fell in love with him and I knew I would be with him forever, but I didn't need like the marriage certificate. But it was important for him. He was a very traditional family man and he wanted to get married. And so it's like, all right, I know I'm going to be with you anyways. Let's get married. And then he wanted a kid. And I'm like, no, you got to give me a minute. Like, so I think we were together for like 7 or 8 years before we had a kid. And then
Beautiful.
we had my children. And so for a long time, I didn't think motherhood would play a role in my identity at all. Now my whole business and entrepreneurship,
Yes.
I have
we're
goosebumps.
yeah, revolves around motherhood. So the way I believe so much in like the universe and manifesting and the all the stars aligned for you in some way and somehow it did for me and becoming a mother honestly probably is what gave me my voice was probably being a mom. The moment I had my daughter, I just knew I wanted her to have a voice. And I couldn't expect her to have the confidence and have a voice if I didn't show her what that looked like. And so in motherhood, it's always been very important for me to have boundaries for my kids and speak up when it needs to be spoken and show my kids right and wrong and use my voice in situations that might be scary. But I think having their little eyes watch me has really given me the confidence to be able to do that.
I love that. And what does your daughter think about everything that you do? Because I think she's the oldest one, right? Yeah. What does she say?
I think she thinks it's cool.
Yeah.
She's funny because she's 13. So like there's times where we'll go somewhere and people will recognize me because I have a big following on social media and she'll think it's cool. Like, oh my gosh, mom, are you like famous? And I'm like, no,
You're an
a little
influencer.
bit. But she loves being able to come to like photo shoots with me and like coming to work with me. And we named our bra after her. So it's called the Alley bra from her. And she helps us
Yeah.
put them together in their boxes and get ready for shipping. I don't think for her the click has happened yet for how much our brand is voiced around using our voice. I think it's something that might click for her when she's a young adult or just older. She might look back and realize, like, oh, wow, like that's what kind of helped give me my voice. Right now, it's just normal for her. She doesn't know any different.
Love that. And I love too that when you had, I believe it was your youngest, you gave birth at home, you had a beautiful birth, and she was there to
Yeah.
watch it all.
How
That
beautiful.
that was amazing. I remember seeing that and I was like, man, I hope she knows the impact that she's giving to her daughter by just letting her be there in that space and in that moment.
Yeah. Well, I think we've all been raised to be terrified of birth. And even as kids, we watch movies and moms are in labor and they're screaming in agony. And it's like,
Yeah.
sure, birth can look that way, but birth can also look this way, and we've never been shown the other side. And so she was actually present at both of their births. So when I had my son Coda, we had a hospital birth unmedicated, and we knew the moment that my husband and I took a hypnobirth class. And I remember asking the instructor, like, what are your thoughts on children being there? Because I wanted my daughters and my sons, but mostly my daughters, like, to be shown what birth can look like. And then when I had my son, I wanted to show him what a partner looks like in a birth. So she was like, oh, yeah, you can totally do it. Show them videos before so they don't get scared. Like, she gave me all the tips. So Pete and I made a conscious decision that for her brother's birth, Allie would be there. And I had my mom at the hospital with us on standby. In case something did go wrong, she could take Allie. Allie was 5 years old when Coda was born.
Wow.
She was amazing. She drew me pictures to hang on the walls in the hospital. And there was one moment with Coda's birth that I was like ready to give up. I was so exhausted. And she was 5 and she grabbed my face and she looked at me and she said, "You're doing amazing, Mama." And I just like, oh, it like gave me my second wind. And he came out like 5 seconds later. I pushed him out in the next push and it was great. So then when we were pregnant with Frankie, we really wanted to do that one at home. And we decided that Allie and Coda, we never wanted them to be afraid of birth. We wanted this to always be a family moment. We wanted them to see what bringing another child into the world looks like and have them be a part of it as a
Yeah.
family. Why would we not include them in something so sacred and special? So Coda and Allie were both there. And Allie, at that point, she was 9 years old. We called her my daughter doula. Like she was
I was just gonna say, like a mini doula.
she was rubbing my shoulder. She was giving me drinks when I needed it. She was right there. And she cut the baby's umbilical cord. Oh, she was amazing.
Wow, she's gonna be a mini doula.
I She was great. But the best part, honestly, I did want her to see that. And I love when she sees movies now when the women are like screaming and she's like, it's not what birth looks like. And I just love
Yeah.
that she has a different vision. But mostly, I loved her seeing her father in the role of what a supportive partner looks like. I think a lot of the times our partners are forgotten about in the birth process.
Yeah.
With our first, Pete wanted to be supportive, but he didn't know how to be. We didn't take classes. He'd get me ice chips and water, but he kind of just was hands off and was there when I needed him. So then when we took the class and he learned and he knew what he needed to do. He stepped in. I did have a doula. We didn't even need her. Pete was my 100% full on doula. And so seeing my daughter and my son see what your partner, that they have a role in it was so important because now they'll have those expectations on them.
Yeah.
So
Wow, that's
inspiring.
beautiful.
Where were you when I had my boys? I'm here listening to the stories and I'm like, wow. Like Cynthia has been talking so highly about you and I knew it from day one. I'm like, I can tell. And now it's like, I can, where were you?
I know every time I kept telling Jeanette, because you were on my guest list, I have like this running guest list and you're on it. Now I can check your name off. And Jeanette was like, oh my God, like where was she when I had my two boys? I was like, she was there. I happened to stumble upon her. The alley bra did not exist at the time. I wish it did because it would have made life so much easier.
It didn't exist for my last even, and now I'm like
I know.
sad because I never got to experience. Because moms love them for labor and delivery. Like they are sauce for that because you can do skin to skin and it feels
Yeah.
like you're wearing nothing, but you're still covered so you don't just feel like you're out in the world. But I wish so bad that I had them
Yeah.
for one of my births at least, and they weren't. So I missed out on that because I'm done. I'm not having any more babies.
I was just gonna say, I'm done too.
Me
So
too. But now I know who I'm going to gift All the moms, all
Yes.
our listeners that are friends, you know your gift is coming.
You know what else I have, which I don't think you sell them anymore. I have the sweats that say "I'm fucking tired."
I love those sweats. We still get requests for those sometimes, but maybe we'll bring them back.
Yeah, I have
Ooh.
those, and I think one time I went to drop off my son with those on, and, like, some guy was coming out, and he was like, "Oh, man, I love your sweats. I love what they say." And I put them on without thinking, like, going to my son's school, and I was like, "Oh, shoot."
And to the school.
Yeah.
We make the hats that say "I'm so fucking tired." And I went to go pick up my daughter from preschool. It was like one of the carpool things, and I realized I had it on. I'm like, oh crap, these kids can read now.
But I love it. So raw and real.
I love it. Oh my God. And we know that tias and abuelas always have advice, right? They always have something to say, whether we like it or not, right? How have you navigating doing things differently without the guilt? Because I'm sure the judgment is still there.
It definitely is. I will say I feel very blessed to have a strong voice inside of me, and I don't know where I got it from, but even as a kid, I have always been very in tune with wanting to do what I wanted to do. And even when it became hard and I would second guess or someone would say something, I don't know, I kinda just always did my own thing anyways. I heard this quote once, and I'm probably gonna butcher it, but it was like, "Don't take advice from someone who you don't look up to or someone who you wouldn't wanna be in 10 years." And so I realized, like, that sounds bad because I love my abuela and tias, but their mindset was different, right? So it's like, I don't want that mindset for my daughter-in-law. I don't want that mindset for my daughter. I want them to feel comfortable around me. So it was easy for me to kinda let it just roll off my shoulder without a beat because I didn't want that for my kids.
I love that. And you worded it perfectly. Like we're not blaming them, we're not judging them, but different mindset, different lives, different perspectives. And again, you're owning your story. Like you have that calling for a reason. So I'm so happy that you ran with it.
Yeah. And you're a mom of three. You're running this huge brand. You're showing up online and still speaking truth daily. How do you balance it all without like losing your shit in the process?
She's like, yes, that's the word.
I will
I
be
don't know if
honest
there's
with
a
you.
secret to it.
There is no secret. I do not balance it. I lost my shit yesterday. I almost lost my shit this morning. It is hard, and I think that the conversation around, like, how do we balance it all feels as like we have to, and I think more women need to speak about their failures, If my dishes are done and my house is clean, my inbox is not empty. If I'm at work and getting all my order fulfillments out and all of my content done, my kids are home without me. So it's one or the other, and just finding, the times where it's not too consistent, where every time I'm choosing work, every time I'm choosing home, it's got to be just stacked differently every day. And I will say I have a very big privilege of my husband. He worked in the hotel industry for many, many years, 15 years. And when I started the company, he quit his job to be a stay-at-home dad. And so I'm very privileged to have a partner that's at home taking care of my kids. And so I can be at work every day. That's a whole other conversation, too. I mean, my family was livid when they found out my husband was going to quit his job. My dad
Oh,
was like,
Well, I
your
can
man takes
imagine.
care of, like, they were like, he is the one that takes care of the household. This is not okay. Like, he should not be doing this. And that was a big barrier to break too. But we do very much live an unconventional lifestyle with our house. And it's been really cool because with all of our kids, they've seen that. With Ali, we were both working parents from day one outside of the home. With Coda, I was at home building the business. I had quit my job to start the company, and Pete was working, holding us down financially. And then with Frankie, he quit right before I had the baby, and I was out working, holding the financially. So we've been all over the place.
I love
kudos to
it.
you guys. That's
You're
beautiful.
breaking that taboo, right? That right there is you breaking a taboo, right? In the Latina community. Like, your dad freak out, right? Like, oh my God, he's the man of the house. He should be the one that should be earning and, taking care of you. And you're like, no, for my family, it's gonna look different.
Yeah.
And I love it because you're owning it.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, that one was I was very nervous to tell my
Well, I could
my
imagine.
dad, and he's the head of the house, you know, like I do very much respect his opinion, but he's wrong sometimes, but it still feels hard to share that. But funny story about that. We took him to lunch to tell him, and he was not happy and gave us a whole spiel for like an hour about why this was wrong. The next week, I got a call from Forbes magazine, and they were letting me know that I had made the Forbes Next 1000 list. So
Look at
the
that.
next week after that was Father's Day. So I printed out the article and put it in a
Oof.
frame and gave it to him for Father's Day.
Oh my God.
What was his reaction?
Yeah, well, I love you. What a boss move.
He,
Wow.
I think, don't get me wrong, he was proud, but I think he was pissed. Like he knew he was wrong, and his daughter just showed him he was wrong, and he didn't like to acknowledge that. So he just kind
Wow.
of laughed it off, but he did. It is in his office at his work, so that was cool.
And that's the way they show the love and the
Yeah.
appreciation, even if they don't say words or hugs or affirmation, like they're not as we are, right? So, wow, that's a boss move. I love that girl.
And by the way, I also saw someone comment that I forgot what it was, where your husband was taking out some of the merchandise. And it was like a nasty comment of him, like, being a stay-at-home dad. And I'm like, what? Come on, we're in 2025. Why are we still getting these comments?
There was so much to unpack there because first she said, "Well, he's a business owner too. Like he should." And I think it's tough because I think as a woman, you see a wife who owns a very successful business, and you assume that it is a joint venture. So for her to assume that my husband also, don't get me wrong, he supported me to be able to build this business, but he is not a business partner. He does not own the business with me. He's not involved that way. He supports my home life to help me build this. But that rubbed me wrong a little bit, because I feel like if the man owns the very successful business, would she have assumed that the wife also was the business owner? And I don't think so.
No.
Right.
So there's that. And also her saying, yeah, like, does he feel less of a man because he's labeled as a stay-at-home dad? And I read that message to Pete, and he was like, whoa, that's all kinds of messed up. Like, that's so
Yeah.
backwards. He's like, no, I don't feel like less of a man. Like, if anything, I feel more of a man. Probably most men I know couldn't handle being a stay-at-home dad. So no.
Yeah.
And I will say he he was stay-at-home dad only with our youngest, and he has said several times he didn't realize how much of our kids' childhoods he had missed out on until he has been home with our daughter. And that makes my heart so happy. He realizes how much work goes into it and how much he missed.
Yeah.
Wow, 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 wow. And it's crazy because let's say you stay at home mom, it's okay, right? Are we not worth enough to run a business or do other things? You have to be a mom or be a housewife. That's label okay. But then when
Yeah.
it comes from the men's perspective, even from women, like I feel like why? Like we shouldn't be competing or judging, right? Like, and of course, it's a mutual agreement. It's not like you're forcing him. It's not like,
Right.
it's like, oh, you have to, or like,
Stay
so
home.
people I feel like you try to deliver the message to kind of inspire, and other people take it as more judgmental or to criticize. But I'm glad that you don't let that bother you
Yeah.
because that's how we all should. And that was beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I'm so inspired today. You have no idea. Okay, Lindsay, a quick fun moment. So fill in the blank. Motherhood to me is,
Hard.
Yes.
wow, right? I like when people are like, wow.
But it's hard.
Yeah.
On
100%.
point.
Okay. What's one phrase or quote that keeps you going on hard days?
My children are watching me.
Wow. Yeah, that's beautiful. Me too. If you could sit down with your younger Lindsay before the brand, before the babies, what will you tell her?
If I could sit down with younger Lindsay, I would tell her that she has what it takes.
I love that.
Yeah, I think that's like, I could go off on a spiel on so many things, but I think that's probably the shortest way I could say it. She's got what it takes. It feels scary, and you second guess everything you do. And I think, yeah, just letting her know that she has what it takes to make it happen.
And she's going to have a badass movement community that's going to change lives because you've done that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, just to keep it real, what's one taboo you're still working on breaking within yourself?
Feeling like, okay, hold on. One taboo. This is the hardest question. I think it's trying to live up to the perfection that our families instilled in us. So, and I don't know if this is the kind of answer you were looking for, but I feel like you have to be the perfect mom, you have to be the perfect wife, and you also have to be the perfect boss, and also have to be the perfect friend, and you also have to be the perfect business owner. And we can always strive to be better, but I think something I'm always struggling with is it's okay to fail at one of the things as long as you get back up tomorrow and are willing to keep trying and know that you can't juggle 12 eggs at once. One of them is going to fall. So just struggling with myself on when I'm at work and feeling down on myself like I've worked a lot this week and I should be at home with my kids, realizing that it's okay sometimes. They're gonna remember the times I was home more than they're gonna remember the times that I wasn't.
I
That's
love that.
beautiful. And that
Yeah.
what you're doing is for them, right? So that's, yeah, beautiful. You
And they
answered the
see
question.
you. Yeah, no, and they for sure see you. I love that. And okay, it's time for our signature Tia Chismosa segment. You know, the one that always has something to say, right? At the baby shower, they're always like, no le vas a dar formula o solo pecho. If she can see you now owning your truth, running a whole movement, and helping women feel empowered in their bodies, what do you think she would say?
Two things. Probably first she'd take credit for me because she gave me my first sewing machine. You have it because of me. I taught her how to sew.
There we go.
I did sew my stuff at first, so like she'd probably say that. And then she would probably say she was proud of me, but then walk away. Very small, like, okay, I'm proud of you, good job. And then she'd walk away.
Yeah, that generation, right? Like, it's just crazy. They weren't taught how to express love and their emotion. It's crazy because I can see my aunt, my mom doing that same exact thing, like never fully owning the word I love you, right? They show it in all sorts of different ways,
Yes.
minus the actual word.
So true.
100%.
Wow. And of course, before we let you go, let our audience know where they can find you, connect with you, and just any way they can support you. And if there's any new projects that you can share, please let us know.
Okay, so our Instagram is our hub of mothers that support each other at the Little Milk Bar with an underscore at the end. We also are on TikTok at the Little Milk Bar, and our website is thelittlemilkbar.com. And then what was the second part of the question?
Any projects coming up
Okay.
that you can share.
I will say we are expanding our product line. Like we started with merchandise and then we started diving into breastfeeding essentials like our Alley Bra and our Frankie Tank. But we are expanding that into everything that you'll need breastfeeding will be under the Little Milk Bar soon. And then we did just start our series. I mean, we were talking about this early, our Little Milk Bar hotline. And so if you are just wanting some good entertainment and jaw dropping, like we just launched our first last Friday, but the next few episodes are going to give you all the feels, make you mad, angry, sad, all the things. We're posting that every Friday on our Instagram at 9 a.m. And it's the hotline calling in with like real motherhood stories. And it's amazing.
I mean, I saw it. We saw it. We
Yeah,
loved it.
I loved
I had to
it.
keep watching it. I'm like, this is so good.
Yeah, so
So,
to our
so good.
listeners, please click on that because it's so funny.
Yeah, it's so good. And we'll make sure to also share everything on the show note. And of course, continue to support you however we can. Please don't hesitate to ask. So we just want to thank you for being a voice, a light, a real one on this world where so many mujeres are made to feel like they're not enough. You remind us that our bodies are powerful, that our voices matter, and that motherhood doesn't have to come with silence or shame. So thank you, Lindsay. So grateful to share this moment with you because you're doing something beautiful and you're creating that awareness that we wish we had more of when we had our babies and the past generations. So what you're doing is beautiful. And I want you to pat yourself on the back and your entire brand. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for that. That's very kind. And this was great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. And to our beautiful taboo breakers, thank you for showing up, for listening, and for continuing to challenge the narrative that no longer serve us. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. Y como siempre, chicas, we'll see you next time on Taboo Talk Latina Edition, where we keep breaking cycles, breaking silence, and breaking those taboos.